One of the things I've been writing about for the past couple of years is the way that the vendors of cloud software and practice development gurus try and connect firm growth to the use of technology. Well, that's very much the message today that Receipt Bank are putting out, an event called 3 Times More. I'm going to be talking to Michael Wood, the CTO of Receipt Bank, to Ian Fletcher from 2020, and some of the accountants here to find out if that connection really exists, and more importantly, how it's working within practices today. 2020 consultant Ian Fletcher backed this theory and started putting some figures to it. Those firms who were able to introduce systems that made them faster, better and cheaper were able to actually increase their valuations from typically from 1 times gross fee income to 1.5. Ian also wanted to find and explore ways you could raise that up to 3 times and beyond. Tech is becoming the determining factor?
It's certainly, in my view, the key determining factor these days as firms move from desktop-based systems to cloud accounting systems, and then on to the future when we've got API links with banks and HMRC. So technology is a real key driver. The firms that embrace that are the ones that are going to have the greater capital value on exit.
What's your view on the assertion that sort of technology is the primary driver of ultimately of productivity and then valuations? Does your experience bear that out?
Certainly, as a firm, we were very early adopters of cloud technology back in 2008, 2009, and certainly technology has been a big part of the growth that we've experienced as a firm, which is kind of averaging about 37% year on year consistently. Technology's played a key part of enabling us to actually deliver that kind of growth. I don't believe that without the systems that we utilise in our business, we would have been able to sustain that level of growth over that period of time.
What is your argument that you're a technology supplier? Can technology really achieve that kind of transformation in value for accountancy firms?
Absolutely, yes. We are in the fortunate position of speaking to thousands of firms around the world. Receipt Bank works with 2,500 firms today, and inevitably we're always speaking to more every day. And it gives us a real opportunity to understand the full spectrum of firms that have been slower adopters of technology, firms that have been the most aggressive adopters of technology. And we see a very clear trend in the firms that have furthest down the line in adopting technology when they come up to either raising capital or when it comes to actually selling the business are getting higher valuations.
If you looked at any other industry, pretty much, you'd look at profits or cash flow, not just top line sales. So I guess that then follows that a business that's heavily process driven, has a niche, is probably more profitable anyway. Therefore, the multiple of revenue fees that they'll get is therefore higher. But the getting 2 or 3 times fees is a byproduct of actually being more profitable in the first place.
I guess the great question is everyone's aware of these arguments, but how do they get there? And there are so many different kinds of firms, and they're at different stages of technology and business development evolution. How do you think the profession will change over the next few years?
That is a big question. I think the most important place to start is just understanding the status quo is not an option. That is by far the biggest bridge I think most firms have to cross. A lot of firms are looking around and they're thinking, we've got a solid client base, we've got a good team, we've got working practices that have worked for us for several years, if not many years. Why the need for change? And I see these opinions in conversations I have on forums like AccountingWEB, and it's a really, really dangerous argument, because the reality is we all see in the world around us the adoption of technology and how it changes things. We've seen industries be destroyed by technology, especially those that have been slow to adopt. I don't think many people would be proud to own a portfolio of shares that is Kodak, Tower Records, Borders, etc. There's many, many examples of how technology does change industries, and that's the place we are at today in the accounting industry. The cloud softwares that are now available are more efficient than what went before. Because they're more efficient, they allow firms to be more productive, and the firms that are more productive can do anything they want. They may wish to increase their margins, they may wish to increase their advertising spend, they may wish to decrease the cost of their services. And what we see is all the firms that are adopting these technologies in a professional way are growing fast.
Aside from the technology, what other, are there other ingredients you need to have in the mix to begin to become sort of the higher value firm?
Absolutely. I mean, technology in itself is not going to do it, because it would be very easy for firms to say, oh, we shouldn't be providing Sage Desktop anymore, we should be providing Xero. But without a fundamental change in the business model that underpins that technology, all you're going to be doing is replacing desktop with cloud. Cloud is about driving the efficiencies in the business that enable you to do more for the same, or the same for less.
So we've heard views generally supporting the idea that if you apply technology to improve productivity, it will lead through to more profitability, and that does translate to better valuations. The ideas and issues that came out of this event are quite interesting. It very much does seem to be playing to the younger audience, and I think the fear that one speaker mentioned was a lot of older accountants expecting to pass on the firm are finding that younger accountants have realized they can go out with and pick up cloud tools and set up their own practices. They don't need the goodwill of old. At the same time, it was Jeff Mills from Hammonds, an older accountant, did point out to me maybe the formula will work and they'll increase 3 times fees, and there are accountants here who have done that, as you've seen, but also the technology is making accountancy much more of a commodity arena, so that actually, while people may increase their valuations over time, the amount of fees they're probably able to extract from the market may be coming under pressure. So I'd like to thank Jeff for passing that on. It's a true accountant's insight, but this is a very dynamic market. I think the people who are plugging in the software and applying the formula are making a big success of it. But it's a very dynamic market, and it's still got a long way to go before we really know how it's going to pan out.